Okay. We're going to start with the first proposition speaker. And basically what we're going to cover is, because you guys did very well last Thursday, you did everything I asked you to do for your speeches. But I'd just like to go into a little bit more detail. Kwan, good to see you again. You weren't here last Thursday. I was starting to get sad that you'd run away. Okay, so we're going to start with the first proposition speaker. Each of these documents, and I'm going to post them in your Zalo group at the end of class 2, so you'll be able to read them. And now the first thing I will say is that a debate is a very formal conversation. So think fancy. So the type of English used is not the type of English that we would, if we were to sit down and have a discussion about your favorite television show, that would be, I imagine, quite an informal conversation. So we wouldn't be using many big, long, fancy words. But in a debate or in a speech, for example, it's a lot more formal. So we'll be looking for more fancy words, longer words. So when you guys read out these speeches that I've prepared, don't be afraid to ask me to help you with your pronunciation for any of the words. Everyone in every other class that I've taught this to has needed help on at least 3 words in their speech. So if you need help, just ask. So for the first proposition speaker, we're going to start with a nice introduction. So we're going to greet the audience and the opposing team and the judges. We need to clearly state the topic of the debate. And we need to present our team's position on the topic. So in this case, we believe the motion. We need to start with a nice, strong opening statement. So we need to make sure that we provide an easy to understand and straight to the point statement that outlines our main argument or the side of the debate that our team will be supporting. And then next, we need to clearly explain why it's an important topic and what this topic has to do with everybody that's there listening. Next, we provide definitions and context. So we need to define any important words or ideas that could have more than one meaning or that people often misunderstand. So this is our chance to really clear up the definition of the debate. And then we need to provide any important background information that helps the audience understand our side of the issue better. Then we go on to do the main stuff. We need to present 3 to 4 main points that support your team's position on the topic. Each point should be well researched and supported by evidence. I say that a lot. We need evidence, evidence, evidence. And we need to clearly explain the reasons why we need to explain the reasons why we've used each of these arguments and how they contribute to our overall case. We also need to prepare for rebuttals. So this isn't actually making rebuttals yet because no one from the other team has spoken yet, but we need to guess what might the other team say to us. Excuse me. So what might the other team say to us and why? Lost my train of thought there. So yeah, we need to guess what they're going to say, and then we need to show that we understand their point of view, but we need to maintain our own arguments. And the reason that that's important is because if you don't know the other side of the argument, how are you going to be able to defend against it when they come and attack your arguments? So we need to make sure that we definitely understand both sides so that we can defend against the other side. Hold on just a second, guys. Okay. So once we've prepared the rebuttals and we've guessed what they're going to argue back, we move on to our conclusion. So that's where we summarize the main points and the main arguments that we've made, and we restate our point of view. And then we want to reinforce the importance of our team's position and let everybody know why our side of the argument makes the most sense. And a very important technique that I want to bring to your guys' attention is called signposting. And signposting just means to make it obvious in your speech when you've moved on to the next argument or to the next section of your speech, because a lot of you, when you were speaking, it was actually quite hard to tell who had, it was actually quite hard to tell when one argument had finished and the next argument had started. Signposting is saying, firstly, then you make your argument, and then secondly, moving on to the next argument. Just by segmenting your speech, it makes it way easier for everybody to follow along. And of course, time management is important. You want to use as much of the time as you've been given as possible and try to avoid going over time. So, Mr. Bond.
Okay, teacher.
Can you please read the first 3 paragraphs of this speech? So everything that's on screen.
Where to where, teacher?
So from ladies and gentlemen, all the way down to cooperation and peace.
Where, teacher? Because I can.
Congratulations to Bond.
I see already. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges and respect opponents, I stand before you today as the first speaker of the affirmative team to argue in favor of the motion that the use of renewable energy sources should be significantly increased. We firmly believe that this step is crucial in addressing and pressing challenges.
Hello, Mr. Mitchell.
Posed
Hello,
by
Ben. Climate
change and securing and sustainable future for generations to come. Let me now present our arguments in support of this proposition. Firstly, it is undeniable that the world is facing a climate crisis of unprecedented proportions. Greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuels have led to rising global temperatures, extreme weather events, and the loss of biodiversity. By significantly rapidly increasing the use of renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydroelectric power. We can substantially reduce our carbon footprint and curb the adverse impacts of climate change. Transitioning to renewable is not only environmentally responsible but also economically advantageous, as it opens doors to innovation and job creation in the rapidly expanding green energy sector. Secondly, reliance of finite fossil fuels poses security and geopolitical risk. Many nations are heavily dependent on fossil fuel imports, which can lead to volatile energy prices and geopolitical tensions. By harnessing renewable energy sources that are abundantly available within our borders, we can enhance energy independence and reduce vulnerability to external and energy supply disruption.
Supply disruptions.
This in turn fosters a more stable and secure global energy landscape, promoting international cooperation and peace.
Very well done, Bon. Thank you very much. And
Okay.
now, can I please get Mr. Kwan? Can you read the final 3 paragraphs, please? So we've got thirdly, in anticipation, and in conclusion.
Thirdly, increased use of renewable energy sources will lead to improved public health outcomes. Fossil fuels are associated with air pollution, which negatively impacts respiratory health and exacerbates cardiovascular diseases by transitioning to cleaner energy alternatives. We can significantly reduce air pollution levels, leading to healthier communities and lower health costs. Additionally, renewable energy technologies are less water intensive than conventional power plants. Conserving this precious resource and ensuring its availability for essential needs. In anticipation of counter arguments, we recognize that some may claim that renewable energy sources that are not as reliable or cost effective as fossil fuel. However, advancements in technology have significantly improves the efficiency and affordability of renewables. Mm, Additionally, in, investing in re, renewable energy now will lead to long-term cost saving as the cost associated with environmental degradation and climate change impacts will be avoided. In conclusion, increasing the use of renewable energy sources is not just an option, but a necessity in the face of the global climate crisis. By embracing clean, sustainable energy, we can safeguard our planet, strengthen energy security, and promote public health. The benefits of transitioning to renewable energy are vast and far-reaching, and it is our moral and practical duty to take decisive action. The time to act is now, and I urge you to support this motion to pave the way for the brighter and sustainable future. Thank you.
Very well done, Quan. Thank you, Bon. Thank you, Quan. Hey, that rhymed. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. Okay, so after the first proposition speaker, we now have the first opposition speaker. So, what does the first opposition speaker need to do in their speech? First of all, they need an introduction. So greet the audience, the opposing team, and the judges. They're going to restate the topic of the debate, and they're going to clearly state their team's position, in this case being against the topic. They need to define the motion. So they get to clarify the meaning of the motion and any terms that may be open to interpretation. So the good thing about, or the interesting thing I should say about a debate, is that you can have two teams arguing against each other on the same topic, but depending on how those teams interpret that topic, they could be arguing two completely different things. So that's why it's important to define the motion as the opposition team, because you can actually decide a slightly different meaning to the topic, and you can argue a different point if you feel it can be a stronger argument. And then you want to highlight any potential misconceptions about the motion. So anything that you believe the audience may misunderstand about the motion, this is your chance to clear that up and really get the debate going on your team's terms. Next, we have something called the burden of proof. And the burden of proof is that the best example I've got is somebody in a court case. So if we have somebody that's been charged with something, charged with a crime, it's not up to that person to prove that they are innocent. It's up to the police to prove that that person is guilty. So that's the burden of proof. You've said that I've done this. You need to prove that to be true. So in terms of a debate, we have the negative team doesn't need to prove that the motion is wrong. The proposition team needs to prove that the motion is right. And the negative team is just there to try and pick holes in the proposition's case.
What do you mean by innocent and guilty?
Did the person
What
do
does
the thing
that
or
mean?
not?
Actually, what does that mean?
So innocent. So I'm just going to use an example here. Let's say that I was, I don't know. Think of something mean that you think I could do. I don't know. So let's say that the police decide to charge me with shoplifting, for example. So if I am innocent, that means I did not do it. If I am guilty, that means I did do it. So it's up to the police to prove that I am guilty. It's not up to me to prove that I'm innocent, because the police have said that he did this, so the police need to prove that. That's just an example. And so in a debate, it's not up to the opposition to prove the motion wrong. It's up to the proposition to prove the motion right. Okay, so main arguments and rebuttals. The opposition team, oh goodness. So the opposition team will now present 3 or 4 main arguments that challenge the points made by the affirmative team. Each argument needs to be well researched and supported with evidence. We know how much I like to say evidence, 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 evidence.
But you have no evidence.
Well, if that's the case, if the affirmative team doesn't have evidence, they're going to find it very, very hard to prove their case right.
And they
finally,
will lose, and the opposition will win.
That's right. I mean, that pretty much is what it comes down to. Whichever team has more evidence will win. So, and the final point about that is that the opposition needs to clearly explain the reasoning behind each argument, and they need to explain how it weakens the affirmative team's position. So how does the opposition's argument prove the, how does the opposition's argument attack the proposition's case? That's the question.
Holes in there.
That's right. You look for holes in their argument, and as soon as you see them, you grab onto them, you try and rip them as wide open as possible and try and make their case really, really weak. Think of their case like a shopping bag. If you see a hole in it and you rip it open, all the groceries are going to fall out. It's not a very strong bag, is it? So much like the proposition team's case, if you can pick a hole in it, you'll make their case weaker. Next, we need to prepare for, oh goodness.
Don't just sleep.
I think I need to. Good night.
Are you kidding?
I am. So next we need to prepare our counter case. So we need to come up with a different perspective that supports.
What? Counter cake?
Yes. So we need to prepare. So think about counter case like a counter argument. So we need to come up with a different way of looking at the motion. And it obviously needs to support our position on the motion. And we need to offer good reasons to reject the affirmative team's claim. So you can't just stand there and go, that guy on the affirmative team smells bad, so you shouldn't believe him. That's a really bad reason. Don't use that in a debate. Although now I think I've just handed Ben his next debate strategy. Not counter cake. Case, not cake. So, you need to have good reasons why the audience. I've been talking too much. I always start yawning when I talk too much. So
Then use body language.
do you understand?
No.
Good.
Oh,
So
that's deep.
Quan understood. Good man. So
I also
yeah, so
understood. I
so we
understood
need to
that.
make.
I don't understood it.
Oh, but you did understand. Good. So yeah, so any reasons that we give the audience to reject the affirmative team, they need to be good reasons. They need to be well thought out, and they need evidence. Next, we're going to prepare for rebuttals. So
The best is that guy's spelled.
Ken is a good boy.
Ben is a good boy. Ben's a troublemaker. So we need to think ahead. What is the proposition team going to say so what is the proposition team going to say, and how can we prepare to cancel out those arguments? What can we say to make those arguments not count? And then we briefly need to address those potential counter arguments to show that we've considered this debate from both sides, because it's never a good idea to go into a discussion or an argument or a conversation only having thought about your point of view. Because if you only think about, this is what I want, this is what I think, this is how I feel about it, that's not good. Because in order to be an effective debater or an effective communicator, you need to think about it from the other side of the argument. So what do they think about this, and how can I convince them to believe my side of the argument? So that's why it's important to consider it from both sides. I'm terrified to look at that chat box now. Finally, we need to summarize the main arguments presented, and we need to remind everybody what side of the argument we're on, and we need to remind them that the affirmative team has not met the burden of proof. They have not proved their arguments to be correct. So, Doraemon.
No, it's Jane.
Fake.
No,
What, teacher Mike?
Doraemon.
Fake
Can you turn your camera on and read this, the first part of this speech, please?
Come on.
Ladies and
Why you
gentlemen,
never turn on your
distinguished judges and esteemed opponents, as the first speaker of the negative team, I rise to address the motion that the use of renewable energy sources should be significantly increased. While we acknowledge the importance of sustainable energy solutions, we firmly believe that the motion put forth by the affirmative team is not without its flaws. Allow me to present our arguments against this proposition.
Keep going.
Firstly, it is essential to recognize that while renewable energy sources have their merits, they cannot entirely replace fossil fuels in the immediate future. The intermittency and unpredictability of renewable sources like solar and wind power pose significant changes to energy stability. Unlike traditional power plants, which can provide a steady and reliable energy supply, renewables are subject to weather conditions and require expensive energy storage systems to mitigate fluctuations. Until we develop more efficient and cost-effective storage technologies, solely relying on renewables would risk comprising our energy grid reliability. Secondly, the
Transition.
the transition to renewable energy on a massive scale necessitates substantial upfront investments. While proponents of the motion argue for the long-term cost of benefits, the immediate financial burden cannot be ignored. Many nations, especially developing ones, may struggle to afford the initial costs of implementing renewable infrastructure. These costs could lead to higher energy prices for consumers, potentially burdening low-income households and hampering economic growth. In contrast, fossil fuels offer a more affordable and accessible energy option, particularly for regions heavily reliant on coal and oil.
Thank you very much, Doraemon. Very good, very good. Can I now please have...
It's not Doraemon, fake Doraemon.
It's little baby.
Don't listen to one. Why do you never show your face?
Doraemon is born in the future, not now.
But I come back to Nobita's house.
She's come back to torment and be mean to Quan. I've been reading the messages.
Can
Okay,
you take me to the future?
That
I want to see my son.
Doraemon
Please.
is funny.
Mr. Ben,
Doraemon,
can you please...
open your camera just one?
Hey, fake Doraemon, can you take me to the future? I want to see Teacher Michael after death.
Where is your house?
All right, everyone. Ben, can you please finish reading the speech for me from Furthermore?
Furthermore, increasing the use of renewable energy sources that can have united environmental
Unintended?
intended environmental consequence. The production of disposal of renewable technologies such as solar panels and wind turbines involve of the rare metals and chemicals that can harm ecosystems. Additionally, large-scale wind and solar projects can lead to habitat destruction and land conflicts. As we advocate for the sustainability, it is essential to consider the full environment impact of our energy choices, not just terms of greenhouse gas emissions.
Lastly,
pursuit of renewable energy should not overshadow the need to invest the clean technology that completed existing energy sources. Advance in clean, cool, and nature gas technology, combined with carbon and captured and storage, show promising potential emission while maintaining energy
reliability.
Neglecting this transition technology could hinder our ability to effectively address climate and change while we wait for renewable energy to reach its full potential. In conclusion, we, the negative team, recognize significance of renewable energy source in the global fight against climate change. However, we firmly resist hasty and exclusive push towards renewables may have adverse effects on energy reliability, economic growth, and the environment. Our stance is not to dismiss the importance of renewable, but to advocate for a more balanced approach, one of the index cleaner technology and consider the practical challenge we face in present. Thank you. We
You missed a
thank
set.
you to reject the motion and consider a more comprehensive and sustainable energy strategy. Thank you.
Very well done. Thank you, guys. So we've gone through the first two speakers now, and we see that the language that we use is very, very different to the regular English that we'd use to like have a conversation with our friends or just have a communication. So so the three tools that I would recommend that you guys check out are a good English dictionary, a good English thesaurus. So a thesaurus is like a dictionary, but instead of telling you what the word means, it gives you other suggestions for words. So you can choose to use more formal words or less formal words depending on the situation that you're in. And being able to have a good conversation in formal English is a very valuable skill. It's a very difficult language. It's a very difficult part of the language to learn, but it will definitely help you out in the long run. It's a very good skill to have. So next we move on to our second proposition speaker, and I'll read this speech out. So the first thing we want.
Teacher Mike, are we going to read all of that?
I don't think we'll have time to get through all 6 this evening.
I know you have to done fast too, so you have to say good night.
Yeah, I'll talk really, really fast like that, so we can get through all of it.
About Doraemon's face.
Face reveal.
Or turn on his camera.
I was going to say, I don't think Doraemon has actually ever had her camera on once in one of these lessons. So you have to show us, even if it's just once, what you look like.
Just
He
one
need
second.
to
I won't.
Can you turn on your camera?
Okay,
No, I
so
won't.
oh, you're no fun.
You are no fun too.
I'm way more fun than you. Everyone can see what I look like.
Doraemon
You
is
are old Mr. Michael. Everyone knows that.
Oh
He's-
my gosh.
He's
Oh my God, I
33.
figured it out. Maybe I'm right. She is little baby Jane. That's why she doesn't want to turn the camera on, because we'll see that she's like this big. She's only like this tall, like a little baby.
And then
I
Mr.
get it too.
Michael won't show his camera on because he looks old, like a 100-year-old person.
Yep.
Right now.
Okay, so going on to the second proposition speaker.
That's
We need
why I say Gwen is not a good man.
Hey, you are rude.
You are rude too.
Now, you two, cut it out, or I'll have to sit you both in the naughty corner.
Okay. Sit them
Okay.
in the naughty corner already.
If you
The naughty corner is basically just banishing them to the waiting room. Okay,
Yeah.
so second proposition speaker. Once again, we need to start out with a good strong. I'm certainly yawning like an old man.
I'm going to take a snack.
I'm going to take a nap too. So, yeah, so we need to start with a good introduction. We need to, again, greet the audience, the judges, the opposing team.
Wait. Look in the chat and see what I will type. 1 more second. Just wait.
Now, you guys behave yourselves. Anyway, so good, strong introduction. We need to recap the motion and we need to let everybody know that we're the team that agrees with it. And then we need to briefly summarize the main arguments presented by the first speaker on the team. So just remind everyone what our case is. We then need to reinforce and expand on those arguments. So we need to provide additional evidence, examples or statistics to strengthen our case. And we need to clarify any points that may have been challenged by the negative team. So anything that they've tried to rebut against, this is our chance to go, well, they said we said this, but no, we actually said this. They're wrong. Our case is still nice and strong. Then we go on to address their counter arguments. So any counter arguments raised by the first negative speaker, we want to come back to that. So we refute their points, make sure we have well-reasoned and well-thought-out arguments, and more evidence, more evidence, more evidence. And then we want to try and show the flaw in the negative team's reasoning, and we want to reaffirm that our argument is better than theirs, prove ourselves to be the stronger arguing team. We're going to present new evidence, new examples to further strengthen our case, and we want to ensure that the evidence is credible and related to the topic. So if we're arguing about climate change, don't show me evidence about video games, nothing to do with it. And then we want to connect that new evidence back to our existing arguments to again make our case stronger. Introduction, quack, quack. All right, next we want to talk about the impact and the significance. So we want to explain the implications of accepting the affirmative team's position. So what are the good things that are going to happen if you were to believe our point of view? Then we need to highlight again the benefits of believing the motion, and we need to emphasize the positive impact that those benefits can have. So what are the good things that can happen, and how will those good things affect us for the better? Then again, we need to prepare rebuttals. So we need to guess what the next speaker is going to say. And we need to try and think of counter arguments against those. And then finally, we have the conclusion. So summarize your arguments, remind everybody what your point of view is, your team's point of view, and then encourage the audience and the judges to believe your team. All right, I'm going to let this big yawn out, then I'm going to read this speech. I'm awake. Oh, Lordy.
Are your time more than 7 p.m.?
Yeah, it's nearly 8 o'clock. I didn't sleep very well last night, so I'm really tired.
What?
So,
It's nearly 8 o'clock.
Will you talk to little baby Jane for stop being annoying?
Quan is also an annoying.
Jane is annoying.
all right, guys.
Do a face reveal.
To everyone in the class,
Show your face.
Guys,
Do a face
guys, if Jane wants to be boring and not do a face reveal, that's her choice. You can't pressure her into doing something she doesn't want to do. If she doesn't want to get on camera, she doesn't have to. And we need to respect that.
yes. But teacher
Jane is
Michael,
a girl or a boy?
he is probably a boy.
Stop it, guys. Stop it. Okay, let me read this. Let me read this speech. Ladies and gentlemen, respected judges, worthy opponents, and boring baby Jane. As the second speaker of the affirmative team, I stand proudly to reiterate and further strengthen our case in favor of the motion that the use of renewable energy sources should be significantly increased. Recapping the arguments put forth by our first speaker, we firmly establish that the world faces an urgent climate crisis that demands immediate action. Renewable energy sources offer a viable solution to mitigate the impact of climate change and transition towards a sustainable future. Allow me to reinforce our key arguments and respond to the counter arguments presented by the negative team. Firstly, our reliance on fossil fuels perpetuates carbon emissions and exacerbates global warming. The evidence is clear and undeniable. Greenhouse gas emissions are causing irreparable harm to our planet. Increasing the use of renewable energy sources, such as solar, wind, and hydroelectric power, will significantly reduce carbon emissions and combat the consequences of climate change. We must prioritize the health of our environment and future generations over the short-term convenience of fossil fuels. In response to the negative team's claim that renewables are unreliable, we acknowledge that while intermittent energy generation can pose challenges, advancements in energy storage technologies are rapidly addressing this concern. Innovations like grid-scale batteries and pumped hydro storage enhance the stability and reliability of renewable energy supply, ensuring a consistent power source for all of our energy needs. Moreover, grid modernization and smarter energy management systems enable us to efficiently integrate renewables into our existing energy infrastructure. Secondly, the financial investment required to transition to renewable energy is an investment in our future. Yes, the initial costs can be significant, but the long-term benefits far outweigh them. Studies consistently show that the economic advantages of renewable, oh goodness. I was doing so well. I was like, keep the yawn down, keep the yawn down. Studies consistently show that the economic advantages of renewable energy adoption, such as reduced healthcare costs, job creation, and energy savings, offset the upfront expenses. We must recognize the economic opportunities inherent in renewable technologies and seize the chance to be at the forefront of this green energy revolution. Addressing the negative team's concerns about rare metals used in renewable technology production, we acknowledge that responsible sourcing and recycling practices are essential. However, we must not overlook the severe environmental degradation caused by fossil fuel extraction. Oil spills, deforestation, and air pollution are just a few examples of the devastating consequences of our current energy sources. Embracing renewables is a step towards cleaner production and a more sustainable world. Lastly, we appreciate the importance of transitioning technologies, but we cannot afford to delay decisive action. While advancements in clean coal and natural gas are valuable, they still contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. We must prioritize a rapid transition to renewable energy sources while exploring ways to make these transitional technologies cleaner and more efficient. In conclusion, the affirmative team firmly believes that significantly increasing the use of renewable energy sources is not just a matter of choice, it is an obligation to safeguard our planet and future generations. The time for decisive action is now. By embracing renewable energy, we can combat climate change, enhance energy reliability, create economic opportunities, and protect our environment. We urge the audience and esteemed judges to support the affirmative team's position and pave the way for a brighter and more sustainable future. Thank you. So, we see there that we've provided more evidence, more examples of reasons to support the team. we have, goodness. In my opinion, we have rebutted the negative team's arguments. And one of the important techniques that they use that I want you guys to notice is that they do, I think I might have mentioned this to you guys already, but I've had 3 classes today that I've mentioned this in. So, but see here how they say we acknowledge. So what this means is that in truth, there's no argument on this planet, I don't think, where other than the obvious ones like it's bad to kill people, that's super obvious. But any debatable topic like this, it's very, very rare that you'll find a topic where somebody can be 100% right and the other person can be 100% wrong. So it is important to give credit to the good points of view that they raise, but then we can rebut those points of views by offering a better point of view from our own side of the argument. So because you won't be scored very well if you're just like, yeah, we're right, they're wrong. There's no way that they can prove that they're right because we're right and they're wrong. You need to say, no, like, I understand what they're saying and that is a good point of view to have, but our point of view is this, and it's better than their point of view because of evidence. Does that make sense? Oh my gosh, 41 messages.
Oh, me too. Hey everyone, do you agree with me that Doraemon is
I mean, I kind of agree with Ben from Ho Chi Minh. There's no evidence. Yep, 0 points for Doraemon, no evidence.
it's going to be 50 chats.
Okay, yeah, guys, like
Sometimes
don't
it go
care.
up to 140 tabs.
let's at least try to get along with each other in class, and then you can go back to disagreeing with each other and being mean to each other when I'm not around. Okay, so moving on to the second opposition speaker, and then I'll post the third speaking arguments for each team in your Zalo chat, and you can have a read of those. Okay. So for this next argument, I will get, or for this next speech, I will get Lu Lee, and I will get Anna to read parts of it when I'm ready for it. So the second opposition speaker, again, they need an introduction. And we can see there, greet everybody, remind everybody what your team's position is, and provide a brief summary of the arguments presented by your first speaker. So remind everybody what's gone on with your team so far. We need to reinforce and expand arguments.
There are only 3 minutes left.
I've been asked to take this class a little bit over time this evening, so we'll probably have, we'll go till say 10 past 5. Okay, so we need to offer more evidence to make our case stronger, and we need to clarify any points that have been challenged by the affirmative team. So again, anything that they've said, yeah, but this is kind of wrong because we think this, here's the evidence. Now is the opposition team's chance to go, well, no, we're actually right. Here's what we mean. And here's our evidence. Then we have, we need to address the affirmative team's arguments. So we can respond to the arguments that they made in their speeches. And we want to offer refutations, so reasons that their argument is wrong. We need to prove them wrong and offer evidence to demonstrate the weakness in their case. Then we want to highlight any inconsistencies or lack of evidence in their case. So like the proposition team we were talking about, we want to try and find any weaknesses in their case, grab hold of them, and just make their case look as weak as possible. We want to introduce new evidence to support our team's case. We want to ensure that the evidence is credible and relevant. And we want to connect that evidence to the existing arguments and create an even stronger case. So next up, we want to highlight the impact and significance. So again, except this time we want to attack the propositions case. So what are the bad consequences of believing the affirmative team's position? We want to find any challenges or unintended consequences that may arise from their proposed solutions. So what have they suggested that we should do to make this issue better? And then we need to find out what are the downsides to going along with their plans. And then finally, we need to emphasize the potential risks and anything that we don't know about. So what are the things that they can't prove? Also, what are the bad things that they haven't mentioned? What are they hiding from the audience and the judges? We need to bring that to light and explain it to them and say, well, what they're not telling you is this, and this is a bad thing. Again, we want to prepare for rebuttals. So plan ahead, plan ahead, plan ahead. What are they going to say to try and weaken our case? And how can we make that not matter? And of course, we want to show that we've considered their point of view, because that's we want to argue against their point of view so well that it shows that we've been thinking about their point of view. And then, of course, it is not long to go now, then we can finish. So we want to summarize the key points in our speech, reiterate the team's stance on the motion and its significance, and of course, encourage the audience and the judges to reject the affirmative team's position. Okay, so Lu Lee, can you please read?
Teacher, excuse me.
Right.
Teacher Marco.
Yeah.
When this class are gonna end?
As soon as we finish with this speech, and then I'll just post the last two in your Zalo group.
Can you read it first? Can you read it yourself first?
No, I would like to invite Lu Lee to read the first part of the speech.
No.
Really?
Oh, there we go. Hello, Lu Lee. How are you? Okay, can you please read the first 3 paragraphs?
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges and honorable opponents, as the second speaker of a negative team, I rise to reinforce our position against the motions that the use of renewable energy sources should be significantly increased. Recapping arguments presented by our first speaker, we haven't emphasized the practical challenges and potential drawbacks of solely relying on renewable energy resources. We firmly contend that while renewable energy is a vital component of our energy future. It cannot be sole solution to address the complex global energy needs. Allow me to further strengthen our case and address the arguments put forth by the affirmative team. The affirmative team observes that increasing the use of renewable energy will significantly reduce carbon emissions and combat climate change. While we share the common goal of environmental sustainability, we believe that an exclusive focus on renewable overlooks the broader picture. Transitioning away from fossil fuel requires a balanced approach that considers all available options, including cleaner technologies like natural gas and nuclear energy. By combining a diverse range of energy sources, we can achieve greater emissions reductions without jeopardizing energy security.
Thank you very much, Luli. Well done. And next, I would like Anna, please, to read the rest of the speech. So,
Hey,
from-
Teacher Michael.
in
Doraemon has,
response,
Jen has quit.
why?
Read now.
Yes, please, Anna.
In response to affirmative teams' claim that renewable energy technologies are becoming more reliable, we acknowledge the progress made in this field. However, it is
Crucial.
crucial to recognize that terror still persists, especially in the context of large-scale energy demand. The intermittent nature of renewables
Requires significant
investments in energy storage and grid infrastructure.
These costs are
often overlooked and can strain national
budgets,
purchase,
potentially
leading to higher energy price of consumer.
Yes. Leave.
Okay, I'll get you to read one more paragraph, Anna, and then I'll finish it off.
Oh,
You forgot to turn off the mic. One. Furthermore, an affirmative team
Argues
that renewable energy will lead to job creation and economic growth. While it is true that the renewable energy sector has seen growth, we must also consider the potential negative impact of traditional energy industries. Heavy reliance on renewables could lead to job losses in fossil fuel dependent regions. affecting livelihoods and communities, we must strike a balance between embracing clean energy and supporting the transition of workers in affected industries.
Thank you, Anna. Addressing the affirmative team's concern about environmental consequences, we acknowledge the importance of responsible energy production. However, the assertion that renewables are entirely free of environmental impact is misleading. The production and disposal of renewable technologies also generate waste and utilize resources that require careful management and consideration. In conclusion, the negative team firmly believes that a balanced energy strategy is necessary to address our global energy challenges. While renewable energy is a critical component of the future, it cannot be implemented in isolation. We must carefully weigh the benefits and drawbacks of all available energy sources and promote an inclusive approach that ensures a stable, reliable, and sustainable energy future. We urge the audience and esteemed judges to reject the motion and support our comprehensive energy vision. Thank you. Okay, so I'll paste all of those documents in your Zalo group. I really want you guys to read and study this and consider the dictionary, the thesaurus, and the Google Translate tools that I talked about, because they will really help you develop your formal English abilities. So thank you very much for your attention, guys. Yes, we are. You can go about the rest of your day. We'll see you all on Thursday. Bye.
Bye. See you next time. Bye.
See you next time, everyone.
Goodbye, Mr.
teacher.
Archer. But I have a question. Are you archery?
No, I'm not archery. I mean, yes, I am, so behave. See you, Ben.
Bye-bye.
Bye.